clearly terrified of us speaking out from inside the community, and to be completely honest, they should be. They don't know how to handle us because they can't dismiss us as homophobic, transphobic bigots like they do all of you.
It's really interesting though. Queer people can be transphobic. Queer people can be homophobic. I have personal experience with queer people being homophobic. We're literally sitting in a video where that is the case. It's weird how they see being queer precludes you from being discriminatory. I have had a history of being homophobic. I grew up marginally homophobic because of the communities I was around.
Gender-affirming care on minors has been banned in countries across Western Europe and has been appropriately labeled the biggest medical scandal since the lobotomy craze.
Oh, don't you, not the lobotomy being compared to gender-affirming care. Everybody accesses gender-affirming care. Cis men and women access gender-affirming care. Cis men being on testosterone when they turn 40 is gender-affirming care. Cis men taking steroids in order to build bigger muscles is gender-affirming care. Cis men taking Viagra and Cialis is gender-affirming care. Women dyeing their hair and getting extensions is gender-affirming care. There are so many things that are in fact gender-affirming care that do not fit under this trans umbrella, but they're only finding problems when it comes to trans folks, which is interesting.
Medically transitioning children is the new conversion therapy. Only 1,000 times worse. Because these children...
How dare you? How very dare you, Jamie Mitchell, say that gender-affirming care is worse than conversion therapy? Gender-affirming care is not forced on all queer people. Gender-affirming care is something that is chosen by individuals, not forced upon an entire community in order to change their sexuality. Because the sexuality is what is attempted to be changed in conversion therapy, but gender-affirming care has to do with your gender, not your sexuality. They're very, very different. Hello ladies and welcome back to my channel. If you haven't been here before, hi, my name is David, and if you have been here before, my name is still in fact David, and here on this series called Dismantling Hate, I walk you through some internet nonsense because there is no shortage of hateful content out in the world. So I am here to provide you with some educative recourse, I am here to provide you with some comedic responses, but that does not mean I want you to go to these individuals and leave them hateful messages, because we are not here to participate in this culture of hate. I may not have Michelle Obama's arms, but I do have her attitude, and when they go low, we go high, and we are here to have fun, we're here to have laughs, and we're here to just look at some of this nonsense because maybe it'll help you in real life when you encounter some of these hateful ideologies, and it definitely has been helping me even in just my confidence in advocating for queer voices and any marginalized voices that exist out there in the world, because it is hard to do things in the moment. So besties, we today are going to continue our journey looking at the Gays Against Groomer YouTube channel. It's a real thing that exists, and this is episode 6 of Dismantling Hate, and I think this is the 4th one in a row that we've been looking at Gays Against Groomers specifically. There's a lot of content here, so we're gonna keep on moving there. And then there's it's like a little mind map that I'm building here because there's so much content. Is that my Roomba going, or is that outside? It's outside. It's outside. We're good. We're gonna continue here. We have lots to get through today, so without further ado, we're gonna get into this. So this is called the Gays Against Groomers Founder's Speech at the Moms for Liberty National Summit. Now, the founder of Gays Against Groomers, her name is Jamie Mitchell, and she's gonna give a speech here, and we're gonna listen to it and go from there and react.
So grateful.
Shut the hell up. What is going on here? Somebody call Victoria because her secret is out. Gays Against Groomers founder speech at the Moms for Liberty National Summit. Take 2.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for the warm welcome. I'm honored to be here. So grateful to the ladies of Moms for Liberty for having me. And I'm just so excited. So before I get started, I wanted to share a video that our Gays Against Groomers team put together for Pride Month, which thankfully is now over. We made it.
They're cheering about the end of Pride Month? You're gay. Or she's queer. She said she's gay or she's queer. I don't know. She doesn't feel like she fits in the queer community, but can you imagine cheering, like a bunch of queer people cheering for the end of Pride Month? Oh, God.
Except, in Canada, our friends to the north, I think it's a whole season now, and I'm so sorry about that.
You're damn right it is a full season.
But here, for now, I think it's over. I mean, there's a few... Anyways, whatever. We'll get into that another time. But I wanted to share
Can't
this
wait.
ad that we put out on the 1st of June to voice our public dissent to what we see happening now in our community and being done in our name. So I'd like to play that now.
There is no pride in indoctrinating children in schools.
Oh, we've seen this. We reacted to this in video 1.
There is no pride in stripping parents of their right to protect their children.
We've looked, yeah. So if you want to see me react to this, go to video 1, bestie, because I'm not... Oh no, not video 1, video 3? We've looked at this before.
There is no pride in sexualizing children at drag shows.
We've talked about that ad nauseum.
There is no pride in mutilating and sterilizing children in the name of gender-affirming care.
Okay, but you know what? I'm going to stop there just for 1 second. Like the kid that's grimacing with the needle in their arm, like you can't tell me that that's specific. You can't tell me that this is like
Children in the name of gender.
that picture right there. Like show me the proof that that's actual like trans-affirming healthcare against that child's will. Like any kid is going to be grimacing at a needle like that. Like hell, I'm a 27-year-old grown adult and I still pass out at the phlebotomist. This isn't, they're just pulling random clips to fit their narrative here. Kids can be at drag shows. Kids can be at 18 and under drag shows. The 18 and under drag scene is appropriate for children. We need to be able to recognize that people can be more than one thing. The show that takes place at an 18 plus club venue at 10 p.m. on a Friday night is different from the same drag story hour that happens at 11 a.m. on a Sunday morning. People can be more than one thing. It's called code switching. It's a thing. And drag is art and drag is theater. And kids can go to theater, kids go to movies, kids read books, kids engage in art just like anybody else. In fact, I would argue that they need it more for their development, right? It's not necessarily or inherently inappropriate that I have makeup on and a wig, right? Some of it is inappropriate, but not all of it.
And care.
This June, what are you proud of? Because we have some issues that we need to talk about.
We're fighting back from inside the community. Join Gays Against Groomers in the battle against radical gender ideology that is destroying our youth.
Again, it's not that radical. It's not that radical. And sure, there may be gender extremists out there in the world. That's not something that I would align myself with. And if you've watched any of my videos, you know where I stand on things like this. And yeah, I am not a radical gender theorist at all. And I think that's what these people would see me as, which is super interesting.
Powerful, right? Yeah.
In all the wrong ways.
Thank you. So that ended up going very viral. We actually tried to get it on Hulu and some other streaming platforms. They denied us during Pride Month, which is kind of homophobic and discriminatory, if you ask me.
Oh my God. I can't. I'm not touching that. But how you can put like a 40-second ad on Hulu, maybe like a sponsored, like they paid for it during Pride Month. That's homophobic? Good God.
I don't know. That card doesn't work for us. Anyways, I'm going to get into my little short speech here. My name is Jamie Michelle. I am a lesbian woman and the founder and president of Gays Against Groomers. We are a nonprofit of gay people who seek to end the sexualization, indoctrination, sterilization, and mutilation of children happening under the guise of LGBTQIA plus 2Z ABC. I don't know. Gay people are...
It's interesting enough that you took the time to write a speech. You're here, you've made the videos, you're a nonprofit organization, and your language includes like the ABC, I don't know. Like it just implies that we haven't done, I understand what the point of her saying that is like, oh yeah, they're always adding new things and just to like hit their ideology and ABCTQIASNLOP kind of stuff. But you kind of trailing off and making the end of your sentence so like fluffy and random, it just implies that you're not confident in your message. Because if you were confident enough in your message, you would have taken the time to solidify what you were going to say in order to make a greater point than, I don't know. You know what I mean? Is that just me? Might just be me.
Monolith. I am here to tell you that not all of us are on board with this new modern rainbow movement we are seeing now. In fact, it is the majority of us who are not. That is why I started this.
Like, what's the study here of the majority of you aren't on board with this modern rainbow movement, which could be the name of my new cover band, but probably not.
I can no longer sit by and watch this toxic ideology be foisted upon children in our name.
Foisted?
In my name. I knew I wasn't alone. There was just no unified front to voice our public dissent to what is being done, so I decided to create one. And now, thank you.
Show us the audience. I want to see how many people are there, because sometimes they can make it seem like there's a lot more people. Like you can throw a laugh track in on anything. I want to see if it's like more than 8 homophobic moms in the front row of like of a theater, right? Show us the audience. I'm dying to see, but I don't think they will.
And now, in just a little over a year, we have 17 chapters across the United States. We do states, not counties. So, unlike Moms for Liberty, which is great. We have 17 chapters across the United States, over 100 members, and more than 700,000 followers on social media.
700,000 followers on social media only equates to 100 members? That seems really not balanced. That seems really not balanced. It's like when you go to somebody's Instagram profile and they have 25,000 followers, but only 3 likes on their last reel or whatever. It's just, the math isn't mathing. The math isn't mathing.
We've also been banned from 11 platforms in that short time, most notably being PayPal and Venmo, which would...
11 platforms? Why do you think you're being banned? And I think they use that as like, if there's haters, you're doing something right. And like, okay, I can understand the sentiment of that idea, but maybe are we going to critically look at why you're being banned? Like, I've said this before, but who's the common denominator of all of these issues? It's you, Jamie.
Crazy. They're clearly terrified of us speaking out from inside the community, and to be completely honest, they should be. They don't know how to handle us because they can't dismiss us as homophobic, transphobic bigots like they do all of you.
That's really interesting, though. Queer people can be transphobic. Queer people can be homophobic. I have personal experience with queer people being homophobic. We're literally sitting in a video where that is the case. It's weird how they see being queer precludes you from being discriminatory. I have had a history of being homophobic. I grew up marginally homophobic because of the communities I was around. I don't get it.
Although they certainly do try. Our Wikipedia says we're an anti-LGBT hate group, which is... it's very confusing.
But why are you you're against trans folks. You're saying that people shouldn't be able to transition. And I agree, people shouldn't have transition forced upon them at a young age. And I agree that people, well, it's such a case-by-case basis. Like if I had a child who knew they were trans and were comfortable with themselves enough to share that with me and pursue the hormones and do that under the age of 18, like, I don't know, if I had a 16-year-old who was really... I don't know. I think I'd be willing to do that. But for that child, I would be willing to give consent for my child to have gender surgery or gender affirming care underage, but it would be so specific. And if you're not tuned into your child enough in order to know that something is legitimate or if it's just something that they're exploring or that, because gender does have an amount of exploration attached to it as well. And I can understand that kids don't have sometimes the wherewithal or the life experience in order to make some kind of lifelong decision. But again, it's not necessarily a lifelong decision. Like going on hormones, you can stop taking hormones. You can just stop. Like I can understand that gender reassignment surgery, like I can understand that top or bottom surgery is irreversible, but it's not like that is going to ruin your life. People regret knee replacement surgery more than they do top or bottom surgery. Just do.
Protecting and safeguarding youth should not be controversial. It should be something everyone can agree on.
You can protect youth, but you can't do it while slandering a whole community that seemingly you're a part of. Just because you're a lesbian doesn't mean you're not...
But clearly that is not the case anymore. The truth is, we never consented to pornographic filth being given to children in schools.
Neither do I. Neither do I. Pornographic filth being shown in schools is horrific, and that shouldn't be happening. And I bet if we created a list of all of the instances that has happened, you could probably count it on 2 hands, at least in one country. Like, it's just, that's not the reality. That's not what is happening on a grand scale. It's just not.
Consented to woke doctors sterilizing and mutilating children in our name. We never consented to radical trans activists taking over and speaking on our behalf. These people, as well as every major institution in this country, are actively manipulating the public and trying to use the rights that we fought for as an excuse for their grotesque behavior and the lies that they tell.
She's really nervous. She's really nervous. And maybe she's just not comfortable in a public speaking role, but she is very nervous.
Yet these are the same people who preach about how they promote love and acceptance. We beg to differ. I think you guys do too.
It's so interesting. Like, how close can you be to self-awareness? Like, why aren't you then accepting, like, do you think trans people just like fell from a basket in the sky at age 23 and now they're just like a trans adult? Trans adults were trans children. And why can't those people receive support at any age? Like, not any age, but like, it's not this like dark, sinister medicalization, sterilization of children against their will. It's not. It's not.
Gender-affirming care on minors has been banned in countries across Western Europe and has been appropriately labeled the biggest medical scandal since the lobotomy craze.
Oh, don't you? Not the lobotomy being compared to gender affirming care. Everybody accesses gender affirming care. Cis men and women access gender affirming care. Cis men being on testosterone when they turn 40 is gender affirming care. Cis men taking steroids in order to build bigger muscles is gender affirming care. Cis men taking Viagra and Cialis is gender affirming care. Women dyeing their hair and getting extensions is gender affirming care. There are so many things that are in fact gender affirming care that do not fit under this trans umbrella, but they're only finding problems when it comes to trans folks, which is interesting.
Doctors and scientists in these countries have recognized that gender ideology and the medical practices that go with it are catastrophic for developing children. It is also deeply homophobic at its core, to be quite honest with you. Without medical intervention, more than half of the children who express feelings of gender discomfort would otherwise grow up to simply be gay adults.
But how would you know that? And you can be trans and gay. You can be trans and bi. You can be trans and straight. It's not like, how can... it's hard. I'd be interested to read the study here that she's referring to, but I doubt that she actually is. But you could also think that, okay, so if I am a trans woman, like if I was assigned male at birth and felt gender dysphoria enough to pursue expressing myself as a trans woman, if I wasn't allowed that gender affirming care, I might just grow up to be a gender diverse queer man. That doesn't mean that I'm not a trans woman. That just means that I didn't pursue the authentic expression of myself. And I might have just lived as a man unhappily, which is what most of the world does. Or it's what most gender diverse folks do. So I think there's truth to this statement, but the way that she's explaining it to support her narrative is a false dichotomy. Yeah.
According to multiple scientific studies, there is no wrong way to be a boy or a girl, and telling them otherwise...
There is no wrong way to be a boy or a girl. Sure, I agree with that, but you can't use that statement to weaponize transness.
Telling children otherwise is evil. It's abundantly clear and cannot be denied that medically transitioning children is the new conversion therapy, only 1,000 times worse. Because these children...
How dare you? How very dare you, Jamie Mitchell, say that gender affirming care is worse than conversion therapy? Gender affirming care is not forced on all queer people. Gender affirming care is something that is chosen by individuals, not forced upon an entire community in order to change their sexuality. Because the sexuality is what is attempted to be changed in conversion therapy, but gender affirming care has to do with your gender, not your sexuality. They're very, very different. Trans kids aren't being tortured with gender affirming care. God, that's upsetting.
Treated as lab rats. And we at Gays Against Groomers have helped pass over a dozen laws and policies across the nation so far to ban this barbaric practice.
I wonder what those are. Show the receipts.
We plan on making child sexual mutilation illegal in all 50 states, whether these monsters like it or not.
Her smile...
This ideology is toxic.
Like, again, it's the body language, but her smile is terrified. I think it's these muscles right here that are like holding it up, like showing the canines on it. Yeah, she's very uncomfortable, which again might just be the public speaking aspect of this, but I feel like there's more.
Hateful, violates boundaries, and it lies to everyone. It lies to parents, to children, to us. It is not reality. It takes advantage of the most impressionable and vulnerable. Children cannot consent to these interventions. No child can make permanent decisions about anything, let alone becoming sterile and chopping off body parts. And no child is
Again,
born...
that's not necessarily happening to children. Sure, that might be happening to some individuals under the age of 18, but going for top surgery or bottom surgery is something that is not... It's not seen as elective. It's not, you can't just walk into a hospital as if it was a Starbucks and order top surgery one morning just because you feel like it. There has to be parental consent. There has to be the consent of your doctor, of your surgeon, of a psychologist. There's an entire team of people that are looking after the psychological and physical wellness of each individual before they can even begin to access some of these things. And it goes in stages. You have to, for the most part, especially where I live, you have to live within the gender that you want to be assigned to for an amount of time. You have to participate in therapy. You have to have the close communication to all of these medical professionals before you can even begin to think about accessing top or bottom surgery. It's not elective. It's not something that can be done on a whim. It is something that is controlled and done through a structured way. Yeah.
In the wrong body.
I missed that last point, but it doesn't friggin' matter. I don't think.
Not only is this, thank you. It's true. It's true. Not only is this agenda hurting children, but us as well. The radicals who have hijacked our community are setting us back decades with their assault on children. The acceptance we as gays and lesbians fought for to achieve in this country is now being erased seemingly overnight, and it's devastating for us to watch.
Again, it's just not. Gays and lesbians didn't solely fight for queer rights. The fight for queer rights inherently involved trans people in such an instrumental way that it is incredibly transphobic to exclude them from the fight that has taken place in order to acquire queer rights in the world. And it hasn't been erased. I don't know about the, like, it comes from an incredible amount of privilege too, to be able to say that we had our rights just as far as we wanted to, or just enough as to make us feel safe. But what about us gender diverse folks like me? I get called an abomination at the train station when I wear makeup. Like, I don't know what rights you think you're enjoying, but it's because you are comfortable within the gender of which you are assigned. I can't imagine a world where she was feeling gender dysphoria, because if she was, she wouldn't be on this stage. She wouldn't be creating Gays for Groomers. Gays Against Groomers? Oh, God.
Sorry, last page. We are deeply grateful for Moms for Liberty, who are willing to listen and work together. We sincerely believe that the most effective way to end the war on children is by uniting together. Despite whatever different...
That's exactly what this is, though. This is a war on children. It's a war on trans children. And you're the monster in this. I'm sorry, you are.
...we may have, we all share the common goal of saving these kids.
That is correct. We do all share the common goal, not exactly how she said it, but we do all share the common goal of putting children's interest first, putting children's best interest first. But the problem is what we think is in the best interest of children is not the same thing. I am also here for the protection of children. I don't think children should be forced into transition. I don't think anybody should be forced into transitioning. I think there should be those rigid structures in place in order to access gender affirming care. But at the end of the day, it should be accessible, period. But there does need to be ways in which you access that care, that you go through steps and checkpoints in order to make sure that it is something that is appropriate for each individual who is accessing that care.
No matter how many times they try to censor us, the truth will prevail. They can try to shut us up, but we will never keep quiet. We will not make peace with an ideology that seeks to sexualize, indoctrinate, and amputate the healthy body parts of children.
But there's so many things there. Like, you can't group all of those things in there, like the sexualization and mutilization of children. Those are such different, intensely different issues. And the fact that they're all kind of rolled up into the one, it's kind of, what is that called? I just learned what this is called. It's thought-stopping language. It's like grouping so many things in together that, like, you can't actually stop and isolate each individual issue. It's like, here's one thing, and here's the next thing, and here's the next thing, and here's the next thing. So it just, because it moves in such rapid succession, somebody who's actually going to sit down and logically think about something beyond some pejorative kind of infantilizing speak here, you can't actually break things down because you're just distracted by the next big thing that she's saying. It's so interesting. I'd be really interested to know what kind of education she has, because I learned this in Logic 1000 in like 2015 as an 18-year-old. Like, I still have those notes. Like, logical fallacies are they're rampant in the speeches of these individuals.
We will not let them continue this abuse in our name. We have a mission, and we are not going anywhere. We hit the ground running in our first year, and together we will restore common sense and reality and eradicate the social contagion that is poisoning the minds of our youth. If you would like to learn more about our movement or help us with a charitable donation, please check out gaysagainstgroomers.com for more, and thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
All right, so that was the founder of Gays Against Groomers, Jamie Mitchell, giving a speech here. So we're going to contonder down the Gays Against Groomers YouTube page, and next up is Exclusive, with the little light. NYC Health Clinic offers 14-year-old hormones without parental consent. again, if we're looking at what is said and also what is not said in these situations, like, okay, New York City Health Clinic offers 14-year-old hormones without parental consent with the siren light. What this is implying is that it would be okay if a 14-year-old accessed hormones with parental consent. But yet again, that would technically be against what these people are for. So how is this, if this is a problem and the opposite is also a problem, then they're just going to have a problem all the time. You know what I mean? Like, if this is the problem, the opposite should be not a problem. But under their kind of ideology here, a 14-year-old should not be accessing hormones with parental consent as well. You know what I mean? All right, let's get into this. Oh God, somebody call Law and Order. Recently, a contact of one of our Kansas chapter members went undercover to test popular gender clinics on whether or not they were providing minors with disruptive hormones or surgeries. What we discovered was shocking. Our contact first called Planned Parenthood, pretending to be Kelly, an alleged 14-year-old girl looking for gender transition treatment without parental consent.
For quality assurance purposes, this call may be monitored or recorded.
We get the phone call.
Thank you for calling Planned Parenthood of Greater New York. My name is Marinella, pronouns she and her. How can I assist you?
Hello, my name's Kelly, and I was calling, I'm a little nervous, but I've come out to my parents as trans, and they don't want to help me out, and I'm only 14 years old, and I was calling because someone gave me information that you guys could help me out.
Okay, let me see if we do services for underage. Give me 1 second. 1 second. Is it okay if I place you on a brief hold?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Oh, this is
Thank
interesting.
you so much for holding. I'm so sorry, but at this time we're only doing services if you're over 18.
Oh, okay. Is there anywhere
Yeah,
else that you know that could possibly help?
I don't, but let me give you a number. We can also help you with this, actually. They're called Community Healthcare.
Okay, what's the number?
1 second. Yeah, 1 second. It's 866.
Okay, I don't see it. I don't see any problems so far, but there's 8 more minutes left in the video, so.
68259.
Thank you so much. I've been so worried. Thank you so much.
No worries. You got this. Thank you so much for calling us. And, once you're 18, you can always call us if you need assistance.
Thank you.
No worries.
Bye.
Take care.
That person on the phone was so kind. Planned Parenthood turned Kelly down, telling her to come back when she turned 18, but they gave her a number to contact instead, the New York Healthcare Network.
All right, here we go, guys.
This is like To Catch a Predator, but not entertaining at all.
Thanks for calling Community Health Network. My name is Brian. How can I help?
Hello, my name is Kelly. I just called the Planned Parenthood, and they gave me your number, and they said how
Is this Mickey Mouse on the phone? Good Lord.
they couldn't possibly help me because I'm underage. But my parents, I came out to my parents as trans, and they freaked out and said that they wouldn't help me in any way possible. And I was wondering if you guys can help.
Of course, but what is it that you're in need of?
Just any, I'm not really sure. I'm only 14, and I'm trans. I don't feel like I'm in the body that I'm supposed to be in. And I told my parents this, and they freaked out and yelled at me. So I'm just seeking any kind of
That
help.
is so sad to be like...
But, okay, let's...
It's so sad to be manufacturing this story, and just by this person going undercover in order to, again, manufacture this kind of language in this story, they're making it sound so real, and it sounds so real because this is a real thing that happens. I don't know what happens with the healthcare, what's happening, but like kids come out to their parents and their parents freak out and do not help them, and that's a really sad reality, and they're sad fishing in order to get healthcare. And while recording it, and just, oh, this is sick.
Back a little bit. If you're looking for like a primary care provider and then like looking for like treatment, like hormonal therapy, we can do that. Mental health services, we also offer that. When you said Planned Parenthood, I'm sort of thinking along the lines of termination, but I don't know if that's what you're looking for.
No. One of my friends told me that Planned Parenthood helped, but they said they couldn't because I was too young. And Planned Parenthood gave me this number.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for hormonal treatment, we can help with that.
Okay. How would I go about scheduling an appointment so my parents wouldn't find out?
You would be put on a cold Cindy. So cold Cindy's are just, we reach out to the patient and only to the patient. Whatever number you provide for your chart is the number we will reach. I can also put into your chart no mail, so you will not be mailed at all.
Wow.
And that way, if it's your home address where your parents reside as well, you won't get any mail.
Oh, I think that would be best.
It's your first time here, right?
I've never been before. I've been too afraid.
Okay, just give me one moment. Not finding anything. Hold on.
This is really interesting. I didn't think it would go this way. And just hearing this, like, okay, so I imagine what would happen here is that Kelly would go and sit down with a primary care provider and have this conversation with a medical professional. And that medical professional would judge whether they would give Kelly hormonal treatment. So it is... I don't know. I really don't know where I sit on this because yes, there are parental rights. And I think that parents should be at a most basic level informed of what is happening. But I think there should be I don't know if there should be a little bit of autonomy for a 14-year-old to access this care. I don't know. I don't know if that's wrong. I don't know if that's right. I don't know where I sit on that one. This is interesting. I want to see where is this going? And also just saying, like, this does not mean that Kelly accessed, well, Kelly, of course, is a fictional person, but this doesn't mean that they would conclusively provide hormones to somebody who is underage, but they would sit down and maybe meet with this individual because we don't know. What if this primary care provider would like team up with Kelly to say, you know what, in order to do this, we need to actually sit down with your parents, but what if we did it together? What if it was a support kind of thing instead of like, we're going to quietly just give you these hormones so your parents don't know? I don't know because I'm not there and this is such an anecdotal thing, but this is really interesting. Wow.
Won't find out.
Yeah, Code Cindy is when we have to put labels on your chart. So as soon as I make this chart, it's going to be contact by phone only, and then it's just going to be the number you give me. I'm going to put no mail for your address, and then that's it. If anyone ever calls for you, we can't disclose any information if it's not you. You know,
Okay.
it's you. I mean,
Because I'm underage.
yeah, understood. But we help underage patients receive care that they need and want, as long as it's not harmful to oneself. We try to help you out the best we can.
Okay.
I can understand why that seems bad and harmful, but I also am thankful that this care can be accessed. And imagine if you are a terrified trans kid and you are having this phone call with somebody, this very much may have been a life-saving phone call for this person. Like, not Kelly, of course, because again, Kelly is fake, but this could have been a life-saving example of gender-affirming care.
So nervous. My palms are sweating.
This person is way too...
Right, but the only thing is, right,
This person is way too good of an actor or actress as well. God, this is sick.
I'm already at the end of August looking, and I'm not getting any appointment.
But can I call back later?
Yeah, most definitely. I still want to put you... Okay, I found it. So the soonest appointment that I have is August 31st with Dr. Carmichael. This appointment would be a Thursday at 9:40.
Okay.
Hold on.
Because again, right, like, it's not like this person is making this phone call because they were pressured to be trans at school. It's not because their teacher told them they were trans. It's not because, like, people aren't trans because of peer pressure. That's just not how this works. This kid, it would have been making this phone call because they would have had somewhat of a lifetime of gender dysphoria. It's not like people just do this on a whim, especially somebody who is underage isn't going to be doing this. Like, okay, maybe they're making a prank phone call and scheduling the appointment and not showing up, right? But nobody is going to access this gender-affirming care that doesn't logistically believe that they need it. And I think the argument is that we shouldn't be believing kids when they tell us things like this, or we shouldn't be believing people who are underage when they tell things like this, because they conflate the idea of sexual orientation with gender identity. Sexual orientation can be seen as a mature adult issue, but gender is not an adult issue. Gender is a human issue. Regardless of age. As soon as you develop your sense of self, you develop a sense of gender.
Let me just make a test account to put a placeholder, and then since I have to just put a lot of labels on your chart, just give me one moment.
Okay. I'm just so scared.
What is your last name?
Johnson?
Johnson? Okay.
Sounds so fake.
Johnson has an H in it, right?
Johnsson.
Okay. I'm gonna ask you for your birth name, but I'm also gonna put your preferred name in the chart.
Okay.
So what is your name from birth?
Kelly Johnson.
And your preferred name?
Either Michael or Peter. And my friends call me both.
Michael or Peter.
Michael or Peter. That seems. I've never known a trans person who's like, you can call me Michael or Peter. Like sometimes there'll be like a colloquial name like Dave and David, but Michael and Peter are very different.
So I can't put two preferred names. Is there one that you choose?
Just Michael.
What is your date of birth?
August 8th, 2009.
So you identify as a trans male, right? Trans man.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm putting it right. What is your zip code?
I don't actually know. I live in Manhattan.
What is your address then? Just the first line. I'm not putting it on your chart. I just need to do it.
Yeah, I'm just so scared. I don't want my mom to find out.
Yeah, but I'm not putting your address on your chart. I just need to find the zip code.
I believe it's 10018. I live in the Garment district.
Okay. What is your best contact number?
910-514-1099.
1099.
Uh-huh.
The number you're calling from is 541.
Yes, 910-541-1099.
Okay, you told me 514.
I'm sorry, I'm just nervous.
No, you're fine. I just want to make sure I got correct information. Do you have an email you want to put on your chart? The email is only asked if like you would want like a virtual appointment.
Okay.
Or to see your own portal.
Okay, M is in Mary, F is in Frank, L is in Larry, D is in David.
Sorry, but ain't no way a 14-year-old knows this. Like the D as in David, the N is in Nancy. What is that? I forget what that's called, but like the military, like it, you know what I mean. That's really funny. Like the inconsistencies in this call are jumping out at me so hard.
N is in Nancy at gmail.com.
So you told me M as in Mary, F as in Frank, L as in Lion, T as in David,
MFLDN.
N as in Nancy at gmail.com.
Uh-huh.
MFLDN.
Do you have health insurance? It's best not. No, never mind. I don't even want your insurance right now since we're doing Code Cindy. Hold on. Hold on. I'm going to put some tags on your chart. So the way the tags work is that anytime someone calls in regards to your name or your date of birth, they have to confirm it's you. Now, the only way, since you're called Cindy, the only way that they can confirm it's you, usually we need 3 pieces of information to confirm it's you. It would be your name, date of birth, and then email. Then the tags, let's say your mom called and she somehow knew your name, date of birth, and email, or your dad. The tags are going to ask them to identify themselves, and then if they come up as either mom or dad, then the representative will have to decline the call. But since you're not getting any mail to your address, there should be no reason for them to ever know that you're getting services from us.
Okay, that's what I'm worried about the most. Because when I came out to them, they yelled at me.
That's so sad, though. That's so sad because that actually happens. No. Gender affirming care can be life-saving. Full stop. You heard that right. Not only did whoever immediately move to book Kelly an appointment with little to no questions asked, it was 9 minutes of questions. And you just know there's going to be more questions at that appointment. She was promised that if her parents called, well, not you misgendering a fake person because Kelly was Michael and Kelly went by he, him pronouns. He was promised that if his parents called looking for information, they would completely disconnect from the call without answers. Yeah. Well, if you're like, the call can be coming from inside the house. You can be put in danger by your own family. That can be a reality. So why would you want to put somebody in harm's way because of this? And this is happening around the country. I don't know if it's happening around the country. It might be. It just means that, not like the Saw music playing in the background. Again, like, gender affirming care is life-saving. Should gender affirming care be happening against the consent of parents? I don't know. I don't think there's an answer to that. I think that's part of a bigger conversation that I am not positioned to definitively make a response to. But I think that gender affirming care can be life-saving. And if I was a trans kid that was seeking healthcare and I was disallowed from my parents and I went out and I found somebody who would be willing to give me gender affirming care, that would make a huge difference for me and it could potentially save my life. So while I don't know where to sit on this one, But again, I don't think this is typical. I don't think this is the majority. I think the majority of kids who are looking for hormones or gender affirming care do so with the presence of parents. This was really interesting. Wow. This was probably the most interesting video that we've made here in episode 6, is because I don't think I definitively have answers in either direction. This one is like starting a conversation instead of concluding it. A lot of these things that we've reacted to in the past, we can conclusively say are homophobic or transphobic, or they fall under the category of many different logical fallacies. But this one, I don't know. This one is a conversation starter for sure. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. This one is interesting to me. So babies, thank you so much for watching episode 6 of Dismantling Hate here on my YouTube channel with me, your host David Day. If you enjoyed this, click on the playlist and watch all my other Dismantling Hate videos. If you want to hang out with me more, I have a podcast, I have many other YouTube videos. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok, do all the things bestie. And until next time, goodbye. I'm so friggin' hot. In both ways.